SteakAger family, Chef Eric here with another awesome recipe using the star of the show, dry aged beef. I want to welcome anyone who is new to the SteakAger family group, and we love your questions. We love your participation, so don't hesitate to ask questions. You'll get answers relatively quickly, almost immediately. So today we're doing a Korean bulgogi recipe using dry aged beef. Bulgogi is the national dish of Korea. We have beautiful Korean music playing in the background, and we have all our awesome ingredients here. It's really simple to do, and it's a really tasty dish. So what I'm doing is I am cutting two steaks. I did a 45-day ribeye that I already cut here that's on the plate. Beautiful prime ribeye. You can see the beautiful marbling, beautiful mahogany color that we look for in dry aged beef. Smells awesome. And to enhance the recipe even further, I'm doing a 35-day ribeye here as well. So 2 pounds of meat total. What I've done is I have frozen the meat. This one's a little bit thawed out now, but you can take it right out of the freezer. Use a very sharp knife. I'm using this Japanese vegetable knife. It's extremely sharp because that's going to help you get the paper thin slices that you need for this recipe. So you basically want to cut these strips as thin as you possibly can. Going to stick to the knife, but that's okay. This is, like I said, a little bit thawed out. When it's completely frozen, you almost you can almost shave it. So this is basically what you're looking for for this recipe. So some of the ingredients that are going into this recipe, pretty readily available. I'll point them out. Lynn's gonna come in front of me. So we have a toasted sesame oil. We're going from the right. That's toasted sesame oil. It's available everywhere. It's a key ingredient here. Next to that is the sake. You can use sake. You can use vodka. There's a Korean alcohol that you can use that I just didn't have, so we're going with sake today. This is all the sake is gonna tenderize. This is a light soy, and by light we don't mean low sodium. There is available in Asian markets a dark soy, which is heavy with the molasses. It's used for really coloring a dish if you want a dark sauce. So you'll use the dark for that, but this we're using a light. It's less salty than the dark, but not to say that light soy is low sodium. Below that is an Asian pear. They also call them a Korean apple. It really is a split between an apple and a pear. It's really crisp, tender, and has the same thing that if you added pineapple to something, it really helps to break down the fibers and tenderize. That's really what that Asian pear is all about. It is used so often in Korean cooking for that reason. So under the Asian pear, we have dried shiitake mushrooms, also available in Asian markets. This dish, the mushrooms are not a huge component, so you actually could use a fresh shiitake mushroom. And what this mushroom does, shiitake mushrooms fresh provide umami. The dried version actually provides an even more elevated level of umami. So what I've done is I've soaked about 4 of them in some hot water, and for about 20 minutes you drain it off, you remove the stem because the stem is very tough, and then you just slice it into thin slices. All right, so I'm getting to the end of this piece of ribeye. I'm gonna stop it there, and here we go. So we have the 35-day ribeye here and the 45-day ribeye there. Keeping a fair amount of fat on. I'm going to cook it It will render out, especially being so thin. It'll crisp up a little bit. It's really going to be awesome. Okay, so once you do that, we're going to prepare our marinade. Now the marinade you want to do for 30 minutes. You can go up to 4 hours. It's not something you really want to do overnight. Similar to brining, it is possible to over brine. You just want to marinate it 30 minutes to 4 hours. I'm probably going to have it in here for 2.5 hours before I cook it. So the marinade is these ingredients here. Take off my Michael Jackson. Got our blender out. And what we're going to do is basically just add these ingredients. So here's your soy sauce. Here is your sake. So it's 1/3 of a cup, and this is for 2 pounds of meat. 1/3 of a cup of light soy, 1/3 of a cup of sake, 1/3 of a cup lemon lime soda. Can't make this stuff up. This is what they use. Lemon lime soda. We're going to add 2 tablespoons of the toasted sesame oil. 4 cloves peeled garlic. So this is about 1/3 of the Asian pear. You want to peel it. You can rough chop it just because, you know, it's going to be blended. We have the same 1/3 of yellow onion, coarse chopped. And this is 4 tablespoons of white sugar. It's going to be our marinade. Buzz this up. Let it go for about 45 seconds, maybe a minute. It's not going to turn into a sauce necessarily. You'll get a little bit from the beef, but it's okay that it's got a little texture to it. Okay. So we're going to take our bowl. We are going to pour our marinade right into the bowl. To the marinade, we are going to add the 4 soaked and sliced shiitake mushrooms. Building on the umami. This is 5.5 tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds. And this is a small white onion, thinly sliced. So that's what you want. This is going to get cooked. It's going to cook down nice and thin. I'm going to put that in. I'm going to stir this around, get this incorporated. And in goes our 2 pounds of beef. Stir that around. And what I'm going to do is, off camera, get another glove, because my hands are the best tools I got. We want to really separate these pieces of meat. Make sure every piece gets marinated well. And you can see, I mean, although it's like pretty liquidy when I poured it in, it's really firming up, I guess, from the sesame seeds.
That smells awesome.
Yeah, it's really, that just those Asian flavors that light me up, you know? So I'm just gonna kind of separate them with my fingers like that. Doesn't matter if the pieces break up, you know, a little bit, it's fine. And the Asian pear with the sake is going to help break down the fibers, you know. And it's funny because typically if you're using a regular unaged steak, that's more important because we've already gained the tenderness from dry aging in our SteakAger. So it's not imperative, but it's the dish. Don't be afraid to try dry aged beef in some of your recipes, like convert them to a regular unaged steak recipe or ground beef recipe. Use dry aged beef. I mean, it's, you know, it's a known scientific fact that dry aged beef has more umami than unaged steak and unaged beef. So, in my opinion, it can only make recipes better. So this is looking pretty incorporated. Very nice. And so what I'm going to do is cover this with some foil, plastic wrap. Oh, you got a jumper. Cover it tightly. And again, this will go in the fridge, half hour to 4 hours. We're going to do about 2.5. And when we come back, we're going to be cooking this awesome recipe, Korean bulgogi, tonight. Hey, Chef Eric here with SteakAger again, making that final run to the end result of this awesome Korean bulgogi. Again, it's the national dish of Korea. Really easy to make. And we're going to get cooking right at the stove here. So I got my setup. I got 2 cast iron grill plates. I've got a little wok there because I am going to be making a japchae, which is a sweet potato noodle dish, usually served as an appetizer. It's really great. I have the luxury of having an amazing Korean market near us, so I was able to actually purchase it already made. I'm not that well schooled in Korean food yet. So yeah, I bought it pre-made, and it is basically vegetables and sweet potato noodles in a sweet sauce. I'm just gonna warm it through in this wok. We're gonna get going on that too. And I wanted to show you guys what the meat looks like through the magic of television. You can see that it's very well marinated. It's been about 2 hours I had it in here. It is kind of come together, and the pieces are a little less defined. They kind of did what marinating does, and it's permeated each slice, and this is going to be really awesome. We're looking to get a nice char, crispy edges on these pieces. But you're not looking for rare here because it's almost impossible. You just want to cook it. It'll be real tender from that Asian pear, if you remember. That helps to tenderize through enzymatic action. I'm going to put that over here. And before I get started at the stove, I just want to bring your attention to what is called banchan. This is typical if you go to a Korean restaurant. They will serve small dishes, maybe 6, 8, 10 of them, with all different kinds of things in it. Here we have, real popular is a fish cake. Not fishy at all. Like, you know, I winced a little bit when I first heard that too, but it's a little bit sweet, really good. This is a Japanese seaweed. This is a dried squid, actually sliced really thin. It almost has the texture of noodles. It's really good with a little gochujang. Most of what you see red here is either Korean chili powder, or it's a gochujang, which is a sweetened chili paste, which is this. I call this Korean ketchup. It's really spicy, sweet combination that I really like. And then here is kimchi. This is Napa cabbage, scallions. It's got the gochujang, chili flakes. It's got some fish sauce, some garlic sometimes. Sometimes there's oysters in it. This does not have oysters. And this is typically put into a stone pot. Back in the day, I guess they bury it. Now they just ferment. It's a fermented product. Really healthy, really good for you. And not too spicy. And then typically they will serve it a little lacking in the lettuce department today, but I did have some romaine, and they'll typically serve the bulgogi in the lettuce, kind of like lettuce wraps. Maybe some kimchi in there. It's really good. You feel healthy eating it, and I'm going to stick with that story. Anyway, so we got some heat going on here. Let me turn up my wok a little bit. We'll start with the meat. Basically gonna put it on. Let her go. So this is basically Korean barbecue. You go to a restaurant, a Korean barbecue restaurant, you'll actually have burner at the table. You go to a buffet kind of, if it's an all-you-can-eat place like we have, you go to a buffet, you take all your raw marinated meat, seafood, vegetables, and you bring it back to your table and you cook it right at your table. Really fun, nice social eating atmosphere. And they're really big on short ribs, so who doesn't love short ribs? I'm going to load this one up. The meat is going to shrink pretty much, so and it may look like I'm putting a lot on here, but it's fine. You are going to get some that sticks to the grill. Comes with the territory. That wok is looking nice and hot. And we're going to get this batch cooked. Meantime, I'm going to come over here to the wok. Sure. We'll go with a little bit of peanut oil. Not too much. Nice swirl around the pan. And in goes the japchae. Basically Korean stir-fried noodles. And like I said, it's already cooked. I'm just going to heat it through. Going to get back to our bulgogi. So this has a fair amount of the sugar, which will caramelize, and that's exactly what you want. So they do make a wire, I'm going to call it a rack, like for your barbecue. So you sandwich it between two halves and it clamps together. And you can do this over charcoal, even on a gas grill. Just turn the heat up a little bit. This meal is in celebration of the Winter Olympics. I must say the U.S. is doing just fine. Man, I can feel how tender this meat is when I move it around. It's actually plenty for the two of us. So I'm not going to cook it all. And we'll have some more tomorrow. It's just about done.
Do you want to give it a little taste?
See how what's happening to the noodles. I want to show you. You see these noodles here? They're kind of brown, and what happens is as they cook, they clear up. So these are a sweet potato noodle, cellophane noodle they call it, because they do get clear, and they're really enjoyable. See how the fat is caramelized and the sugars from the marinade. It's going to be good to eat. Yeah, this is done.
You want to taste it and then top it up?
I always taste it. Always listen to your producer. Yeah, very soft, sweet. The dry aged flavor, prevalent. This is an awesome dish. So, get in that kitchen, think a little bit outside the box. You can discover the world through cooking. And thanks to the SteakAger and Dry Aged Beef, at our disposal whenever we want, whenever we get creative, we can do stuff like this. Celebrate the Winter Olympics, go Team USA, and we'll see you on the next SteakAger video. Having slipped into something a little more comfortable to eat, so I don't get my chef's coat more dirty than it already is, I'm going to assemble my lettuce with the bulgogi, and I'm going to go for some of these crispy bits here.
What'd you put on there first?
That is the gochujang, the Korean ketchup, as I call it. I'm going to put some meat in. I always tend to want to overstuff. I am going to put some kimchi in there. I'm going to wrap that up. But first, I'm also going to get my japchae and put it on my plate. Japchae is funny. It's like the more you grab out of the dish, the more it grows. Like the never-ending bowl. And I'm going to put a little rice. A little rice right here. I got some brown rice tonight. Nice. We'll wrap it. So you get this great charred flavor. You get the heat from the meat, the coolness of the lettuce, and it's just crunchy and tender and spicy a little bit from the kimchi and the gochujang. This is comfort food at its finest. So I hope you try this recipe, enjoy it, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And again, I will see you on the next SteakAger video.